up, everybody? You are now tuned in to StarCHaser Central, a podcast about Charles Hamilton, music, moments, and everything in between. That's correct, and I'm Stick Braxton.
I felt like you said it right, but I mean, whatever. I am Mike Jackson, the real Mike Jackson.
Not well, okay. Um, anyway, how you doing, man? Coming off the first weekend of June. How you feeling?
I'm good, can't complain. Only thing I really can't complain about, I guess, because we're in Gemini season. I think they're like my top one hated, but I don't really hate them because there's people that I know that are Geminis I get along with, but I don't know. They just sometimes they rub me the wrong way. That's the sign. That's the considered the two-face sign because they have So I'm good though. I can't complain.
Uh, I mean, StarCHaser Central. We've done so many things over the past couple weeks. First off, I want to say that this episode is brought to you by Sprite Zero Sugar. Sprite Zero Sugar. Go drink that shit immediately. Um, and also we got another accolade recently, and it's that we got our Truth is job back. So congratulations to us. Our plea at the end of last episode was heard clearly by WWE, and they scrambled to get my boy back. So shout out to us.
Definitely. Literally nobody else but us. That's the sole reason that happened. So clap it up for us, man. Seriously, I'm glad that our truth is back because it's one of those things where it's like, man, it's unfortunate, but I know how business is. At the same time, it's just interesting. I'm gonna just say that it's interesting because there's so many people saying, "Oh, it was really this. No, it was really that." And it's like, man, look, it doesn't matter. The man got his job back, whether it was a work or a shoot. Don't work yourself into a shoot, brother. So that's all I'm just saying to everybody. Let's just enjoy and see what storylines they can come up, because I'm like, there's no way you just give him his job back and then nothing. But oh yeah, we're gonna just act like that didn't happen. But WWE has done that before. They've definitely done that. So we'll see.
Yeah. To be fair, it was other than that other guy that we don't talk about. We'll see what his son-in-law does. Even though his son-in-law, I love the wrestler. The Booker is he's hit or miss. I'll say that he's definitely hit or miss. Um, but we are back today, man, and we are doing something for the first time ever on this podcast. This is what, episode 86, maybe, I think, something like that. Don't quote me. But we're doing something for the first time in a long time. We're actually reviewing a super duper recent tape, like within the last 2 weeks. And we are reviewing Charles Hamilton's Waft Dunk.
Yes, sir. Waft Dunk. I'm assuming that's a play on Daft Punk.
I hope so.
Um Otherwise we're gonna look very stupid. Yeah, in case you guys don't know, like you said, about 2 weeks ago, very recently, Charles released a lot of new music, about 6 to 8 tapes on SoundCloud. So just to make sure that you guys know, I believe Charles's SoundCloud is Junior Varsity One. That's JR Varsity and the number one. So, if you're not aware, go ahead and follow him on there so you see all those projects. But this one is a fairly new one. It came out in 2025. Now, this part I can't confirm. I'm not sure when it was recorded. Don't know what point in time it was recorded, but this is fairly new. Um, and that's my segment because literally this is where I fill in the blanks, but there's literally nothing to fill in. There's nothing. It just came out. It literally just came out. So Charles will have to fill in the blanks in the comments, hopefully.
Yeah, and we don't do a lot of pre-production stuff, but as we do talk about what we're gonna review next. And I just threw out the suggestion, hey, maybe we should finally do like a recent tape. And once we had those, those that pack drop, I think it was like the perfect time to actually do it. Um, Plus, the conversation it was centering around was just how, we would like more people to talk about the music, not just the old stuff, but newer stuff. And I feel like this is us not only putting money where our mouth is, but also putting pressure on the people that say that they love Charles Hampton and the new music. Well, now it's time to talk about it because we're about to talk about it as well.
Definitely. And I can say this. It's gonna be a little different, but this project, I'm not sure about the other ones. This project is on YouTube. it was uploaded by, I want to say, Sega Genesis. I think that account used to be Eating Crab Meats. And there were a lot of comments on some certain songs.
Mhm.
So we'll do this quick version of what did the Star Chaser say. So all I can say is this. There's a lot of comments saying, "Oh, I love the vibe," or "This is a great beat, beats fire, fire emojis,"
Mhm.
and just a lot of positive comments. So that's number one. That's good for music that's just out. And sometimes people can have a recency bias where it's like, oh, it just came out, man. You gotta listen to it and really engage with the music and feel it and hear it. Not just you just play it once. So that's what we're here to do. We're here to check to see is it really as fire as everyone says? Is it kind of a little bit of recency bias where people are just saying whatever just because, or we'll find out.
That is our job today, man. The only actual information I guess we have on this tape is the description that Charles has for Waft Dunk on SoundCloud, and it simply says further adventures into the relationship between Daft Punk and Charles Hamilton. Um, I can't think off the top of my head of the previous Daft Punk um songs that maybe he sampled or like kind of like maybe if there was like a tape that he kind of did a whole Daft Punk thing too. Do you have any ideas what that be? Because clearly this isn't going to be a. Did you? When's the last time you heard this tape? We both haven't listened to the tape before this time. So was there?
Yeah.
Is there a Daft Punk relationship?
There's always going to be a Daft Punk relationship because Charles has sampled everything under the sun. Now, if there's a certain project, um, couldn't tell you. I figure you would have that information, but apparently you don't. I don't either. So, but no, on a serious note, we know Charles has sampled everybody at least like 5 times. Maybe even more. Who's counting? Um, but I do know that. I think I've noticed it a lot more recently with some of these tapes that we've done so much at random, where Charles would have some type of project where it's like, oh yeah, this is me and me explaining my relationship with this producer or this producer, and whether it's him flipping their beats, just making his own project to it, or maybe he might not even be flipping the beat. Sometimes he just, hey, I'm just going to rip this instrumental and then rap over it, and then this is me explaining my relationship with them in
Mhm.
a metaphysical, hyperbolic, kind of way, but Charles still wants to, still let people know, hey, this is why I like this artist, this group, these people. And, usually through the music, we might hear more about it. So then we can kind of figure it out and understand it better.
Yeah. Um, 11 tracks. Let's get into the cover. How do you feel about the cover that Charles made? And then maybe we'll get into some of the fan made things we've seen elsewhere.
So when you say the cover, you talking about the one that's on YouTube, or because the thing is on SoundCloud where all this music's from, it's just the simple JR, just
Yeah.
Junior. I had to say it 'cause I know he's gonna get mad when he hears that Junior, Nick Junior ass. Nah, but what cover are we talking about?
I guess just the YouTube one, just because that's the one it's an actual cover. Like all the like you said, all the other ones just had the JR on there. Maybe you just didn't have time to upload it or whatever, but we'll just use the one that's on YouTube.
All right. That's the one, if I'm familiar with, that's the one that's pretty similar to Daft Punk with the, this, yeah, with the okay, helmets and all that.
Yep.
I am assuming that's AI because Charles and or Chris Young, C Young, a lot of their music recently, if they do have some type of art cover, it has been just AI. Just everything's been AI. I know some fans, they weren't really a fan of fans being a fan of, but I know some fans weren't really keen on some of the older stuff Charles would do, where he would take, I guess, like you say, Charles would take a random picture, put Charles Hampton, put the name of the album or the song, or whatever, and
Mhm.
that'd be it. I don't know if they're really a fan of this either with the AI. Now, with some of this stuff, it kind of makes sense. You hear the project called Waft Dunk, and then you see, okay, this is kind of similar to, Daft Punk, whatever. So it kind of fits there. For me, it's cool. I'm okay with it. There's been other AI art that I've seen where I'm like, I don't think that matches at all. And of course, AI can be great. Sometimes it can be terrible. It just depends on, who's behind it and what tools you're using, or if the equipment is actually like set up properly. But for this one, I'm like, it's okay. I'm cool with it. I feel like it kind of gives me an idea of what I want to expect somewhat. How about you?
Um, I'm not huge into the AI thing as far as like with artist stuff. Just from an artistry standpoint, I'm big into, if you can get somebody to draw, if you can get somebody to mess around in like a an imaging type of app, let them go to town, let them design something and go from there, or just design it yourself, right? AI thing just seems like a cop out to me, just personally. But like you said, Charles and C Young are very big on using the AI stuff, even in their videos as well that they put out or whatever for the songs. If I judge it based off of just taking the AI thing off there, it's cool, I guess. It's kind of like the Daft Punk version of Sonic, Sonic characters and using that or whatever. Um, so I guess it's fine. It's fine. We did have some Discord people have some different type of covers. I know our guy in the Discord, I don't know his real name, but BruhMask, he has one where it's kind of like Daft Punk in the suits, but he just replaced the helmets with Sonic and Tails. I thought that was fine. But then I got Santiago. I was on his Instagram and he had his stories, and I guess he created a cover or somebody created a cover, and it's like Sonic 2, the cover screen, and it's Sonic and Tails, but they had the Daft Punk helmets on. And I thought that was a much cooler version of what this is supposed to be. So I don't know where Santiago got that from, but that should be the official cover, if you're asking me personally.
I have to agree. I know the other, like I said, those other two that you're talking about. I just looked that up with BruhMask, where he
Yeah.
put the Sonic and Tails on that. Where I'm like, it's if you have like any type of like uh art or like cover, any type of like even the most limited of like cropping something from like a app, you can easily do something like that. Not saying that, oh, it's the easiest thing in the world, because some apps are easier than others, whatever. But
Mhm.
sometimes it's like that's all you need to do. The Sonic 2 one that you're talking about, I remember seeing that one. Not sure who did that, but I would definitely say that would probably be the best option. So
Yeah, I agree. Um, I guess before we get into the tape, because it's 11 songs, so I don't know if you want to do best three or you want to go through the whole thing. I do want to ask about this title. Now, Waft Dunk. Why? Why did he choose WD as the two replacing letters of Daft Punk? What am I missing, Mike? Help me out.
uh once again, I'm the real Mike Jackson. I'm not Charles Hamilton.com. So I can't tell you why he did that. For me, like that thing that people would do is like, hey, X-nay on the I think that's just Charles talking in code. Or I'm not sure if people have pets that when they get really weird when you say certain things, like I guess let's say for example a dog, right? If someone says walk, dogs just get excited, they want to go on a walk. So it's like, oh, you guys say a schmalk or something like that, just so the dog doesn't, because their ears perk up
Mhm.
and they start wagging and they start trying to run out the house. That's the only thing I could think of. Like Charles wanted to do something in code. I'm pretty sure he'll explain it on his blog soon enough. What one thing I would love is like when Charles comes out with like projects, I would love if he would like explain it while the projects first come out,
Yeah.
instead of, because like I said, better late than never. I know what he'll do later on, because we'll cover this. We're covering it now. He'll see it. Hey, by the way, I want to give y'all some breakdown. I feel like it'd be better like once that type of stuff comes out, break it down when it comes out. You know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna write like let's say if I was an author, right? I'm not gonna write a book and then like wait for someone to review it and then be like, all right, now I'm gonna talk about some of the stuff you guys didn't get. Now I'm like, I'm gonna break that down now while it's out, just in case, and then leave that for y'all later. And if you don't see it, hey, I'll rebookmark it, and then hey, I already wrote about it. So here you go. That's just a personal thing I think about.
No, I agree. I think I even told Charles this, and we were having a conversation about it was some tape that we had reviewed, and he was like, "Yeah, I wish y'all just knew about it." I was like, "Bro, it would be a lot easier if you, when you drop these, as you have an explanation." I know a lot of times blog posts have been lost to time or whatever and whatnot, but a lot of what we're doing today is new. You drop six tapes and you just have this small blurb here. There's really nothing to tell us what this is about or how this came to be. So he used to do that on the blog. I feel like he should probably get back into doing that. At least it don't even have to be a long explanation, just a short paragraph, bro, of what you were going through during certain stuff. But um, we're gonna go in blind, and we're gonna start off with air balls with a Z.
It does have a Z. Air balls. Um, mm, I'll let you say that. But so here's my opinion on it. I kind of feel like the hook's catchy. It's kind of catchy to me. Um, I'll be honest. Versus a random, Charles is just rapping. The beat sounds like an NES type of like sound. Like kind of reminds me of, I don't know if anyone's played it. I'm really showing our age and maybe people older. There was like a Sesame Street game back on like NES, and it reminds me of that. It completely reminds me of that, where it would teach you about numbers and all that, but I can't remember what the game's called. But I remember me and my brother used to play it all the time. But it sounds like it came from that.
Mhm.
Um, is that a good or bad thing? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if I'm really a fan of the beat. It's and then there's like this like ting every couple 4 bars or whatever.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's too loud. Like I'm not saying that shouldn't be in there, but it's like just too loud. Um, I will say this: the song has like positive vibes and energy because Charles was basically talking about, he has his bud in the air, there's love in the air. So it has that whole idea of like, hey, I'm not being a downer. I'm trying to bring up the energy and be lively. So that part I'm cool with. But yeah, the beat just reminds me of like something from Sesame Street from like not Super Nintendo, regular Nintendo, original Nintendo, or the Famicom if you're from over there. But yeah, yeah, I'm not really a fan of this one.
I played this a few times to kind of see how I felt about it, and I came to the conclusion that I'm not a fan. Um, I get what you're saying about the hook, but I guess for me it was just like we're gonna get into this thing where I'm gonna talk about the hooks again and what he's choosing to do on these hooks, and uh, I just wish he would be more. I wish he would do differently with the hooks. It's not doing it for me, and so that's a very common theme with some of the newer music. Like you said, the verses are random. I'm not sure what the goal of the song was supposed to be. Not saying that what he's saying is like bad or like he's not good rapping or anything like that. I just think there's no focus, so there's nothing for me to connect to the beat, to the hook, to the song. I get what you're saying about the beat. It's not the greatest. And it sounds like it definitely sounds like it was created during one of the live sessions. So not the best way to start a tape. So I was hoping that as we go along, I would find a little bit more variety or better starts.
Yeah, I can see that. I think the more I played it, I started to like it a little bit more, but at the same time, it's like it hasn't gone up that much. So it's like I like a little bit more. Like I said, I'm listening to the words. Like I said, trying to focus on what he's saying. I could be wrong. I'm thinking it's this song. Like I think on the third verse, he just starts saying, uh, look at me, pick my nose. I'm like, what? Like, all right. Like, all right, okay. All right. I mean, yeah, I get it, love's in the air, the bud's in the air, nothing but love's in here. But what does picking your nose have to do with, this song being called Air Balls? I'm not sure where that connection is either.
Yeah, the third verse is a curse on this tape. I'm gonna be honest. One in particular where I'm just like, bro, you take this off, it's fine. Um, we follow up with C Diddy presents.
So let me say this first and foremost, right? Obviously, we all know what's going on with Diddy, and he has a lot of stuff going on. Now, I don't know when, I'll say probably between like 2018, 2019, probably 2019. I think that's when Charles started, using C. Diddy as a moniker or another alias. I'll be honest, you should probably stop doing that. probably should stop doing that. The biggest reason is not because, oh, because what Diddy's doing and this and that. My biggest reason for saying that is because Charles has perfectly and recently stated a lot. He's not a fan of, executives and people in power, you know, being one way and then they're really another way. So, you got these people that, might be on the down low and doing a bunch of like evil demonic stuff. You know what I mean? Diddy is definitely a monster. So it's like you shouldn't even want to have a name, anything similar with that type of, especially if you don't consider yourself that way, which I know Charles doesn't. He wants to fight against that type of stuff. But it's like, yeah, you probably should get rid of that name. So, um, so back to the review. Um, I like the beat. The beat gives off a happy morning vibe. I feel like it's like when you wake up early in the morning, you just like go outside, sit on the porch, or you're going for a walk. That's what it sounds like to me. Or like one of those like maybe not early morning, but like one of those children cartoons or whatever that you'd be like, oh, that's such and such. So it has like a good positive feel to it. I want to say Charles is trying to paint a picture with hopefulness in this song. I'm not sure about the direction of the song though. Hook's decent. Sounds like he's talking about a girl, but this is what kind of throws me off, right? So the first verse, he's like, "Oh, picture me, with the homeless. I'm out here, drinking with them. We out here with the henny. Actually, we got the E and J. We can't afford the henny." And I'm like, "Hey, you gotta make whatever happen. You gotta make do." So part of me is like, okay, that's him being, hopeful. Like, hey, imagine me being out here in this type of situation where it's not the prettiest, it's not the best, but I'm trying to move myself into a better light, a better position. So I'm like, okay, I could kind of see that. The hook talking about he wants to, make the girl feel so good and all that, and then kind of like apologizing about like how he acts and reacts to certain things. And then, like you said, third verse, it's like, don't even know what you're talking about at this point. So it's like I'm wondering, is this him talking to the fans like, hey, I want to make y'all feel good with the music I'm providing? Or is this, hey, I'm talking about a girl and hey, let's go out hang out with the homeless and drink? Because that's a terrible fucking idea for a date. I'll be honest. That is a terrible idea. So I'm not sure where he's going with that. And I don't think anyone would want to do that like willingly. Like, hey, let's go hang out with the homeless. Let's go drink with the homeless. Like, but yeah, that's how I feel about the song. Really good beat though.
So I appreciate you starting off with kind of breaking down the whole. You probably should not want to be C Diddy or be associated with Sean Combs at this current moment in time, and it's for that very reason that this song kind of is. It's kind of eerie and creepy in theory, because just like you said in that second verse, like, yeah, I want to do things. I'm sorry for the way I overreact or I do things or whatever. And that's kind of his whole moniker, like the whole Diddy thing. Like he appears nice or he appears like he's a loving person, and then we find out some of the things that he's done behind the scenes or whatever. The hook just kind of creepy when you associate if you think about what Diddy's like. I just want to make you feel good. It's like that's kind of weird. And I think to me it's just I won't even say it's in poor taste. 'Cause I'm not gonna throw that on his jacket. That's why he named it this. But I will say it's just like bad timing, you know. Since we know that this is a song is from like, or at least the tape came out 2 weeks ago. Even if you wanted to keep the song, change the name of the song. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I can't get jiggy with the song. No Will Smith.
Oh, I get you. You know who else couldn't get jiggy? The Locks, because they were wearing the shiny suits, and then that didn't work for them. So I get you. I agree with you. I wouldn't want to pin that on Charles' jacket either. At the same time, it's more like, come on, man. You see what's going on here. Like it's more like like I said, in 2019, it's like, like there's some stuff here and there you wouldn't really know. But now it's just like, you know better than to name it anything with Diddy at all. You shouldn't be using that at all. Come on, man. That's like come on, son. That's one of those type of deals.
Facts. How about Day Night? What'd you think of that one?
All right. So the beat's cool, the hook's cool. It's similar to Nelly Furtado, Say It Right. That's where, got the sample from. Has some chops in there. He chopped it up pretty nice, but for me, that's really it. I feel like every verse was completely different, scattered. Like it's just him. And I listened to this multiple times back to back, and I'm like, all right, well, maybe I'm missing something. And I keep listening. And I'm like, nah, he's just literally just talking about anything. The third verse is what completely confused me because this is the one that like he's just saying like I think the most random things on here. So he's talking about magic. And he's like, how the magic's in me, and I'm gonna give it the magic to you, and then you give it back to me. And then I could have heard this wrong, but I could have sworn he said something about licking a tablet, something with a tablet. And I'm assuming like a tablet you use, but and then hitting it from the back, and then near the end of the verse, like being buried together while making beats. And I'm like, is that like uh to the to who was that to? Is that to the fans? I like I don't know because like the thing is like, of course, with being a star chaser, it's like, hey, we're all magic. We're all magical people. We all do magical things. And if you don't believe in yourself, I believe in you. So I'm giving you the magic. And then what is the magic? But I know he's not going to say it. I know you have to. He acknowledges the power of magic and believes in it, but it's just one of those things where it's like, what exactly are we talking about here?
Mm.
So like I said, the beat's cool, but other than that, it's just Charles is just rapping, and I don't get it. I don't get it.
I think this is one of those situations where I didn't like the first two songs, and this came on. And I was like, okay, this is cool. I think that's kind of where I'm at with that. I like the flip. Actually, I like the beat too as well. Um, hook's okay. Like I said, um, I really wish we had just the I wish the hooks were just more dynamic, man. I really do. I wish sometimes I don't need like a sing songy hook. I don't really need like a belty hook. Sometimes I just want like a rap hook. Sometimes I just let the sample do the hook if you don't want to sing. That's fine. I'm so good with that, right? Um yeah, I think this is an okay song, and it reaches the level of okay because of the first two songs on the tape. So I'm still searching. At this point, I'm still searching for that song where I'm like, I can actually listen to this probably a few times. Um, and I'll be honest, I think the next song is what kind of nailed that for me.
Let's talk about it. Dr. Ecstasy. I will say this: it's not spelled. I mean, depending on what type of ecstasy you're talking about, But if you're talking about the regular, just like ecstasy, like the feeling, that's not how ecstasy is spelled. But then there is the drug, you know.
Yeah, which I know nothing about. So there's that. Um, I like the song. I think the beat is really good. It's probably the best beat up to this point so far. Um, I like the raps on here. I like the hook. This is one of those songs where I wish he would model at least one of them. I wish he would model whatever he wants to do with his new music on this. Cause I feel like it's even though it's not necessarily still the most focused or the most like tightly knit song that he's created, I think it's if this is what he wants to do, this is the direction I would like for him to follow. I think it's a tight put together song to hit to these standards. I think the beat isn't too overly chopped or too overly produced because is it the next song? Good. The next there's some songs where he chops way too much to me. Like he's over chopping. It's like there's Julian, there's finely diced, and whatever the fuck he does sometimes. And it's like, bro, we didn't need all these chops. So this beat was pretty good, and like I said, the hook was it's memorable. It's something that I remember right off the top. So this isn't a byproduct of the previous songs. This one I actually liked.
I might have to pass on the paper. If I pass, I will not be a hater. If I make paper, the game wants me to make, then they gonna see me break. And I don't need a break, but I need a break. I don't need to break, but they need to see the way I stay awake and break the beat. Break the beat, place the witness crack. Don't make the track get make crack.
Similar to you, like I said, I don't know anything about it either. I don't know anything about ecstasy either.
Hmm.
Not at all. But I feel the opposite as you. For me, I said, the flow on the song's all right. I'm cool with the flow in the song. I'm not the biggest fan of the singing on here for the hook, but it's not the worst. It's
Right.
not like, other songs we've heard, and I'm just like, no, complete no.
Hmm.
At times, the beat's too loud. So for me, I'm like, there's times where, you hear him rapping, but then like it might be, I'm not sure if it's like with him like having the microphone next to him, and then he might be pulling back away from the microphone or moving too much from the microphone, or sometimes just with the beat, sometimes producing something and then you're not really like regulating the levels. So that's a knock I have on it. But yeah, it's not. I'm not really feeling that song.
We follow that up with hazmat suits.
Once again, something else I don't know about personally. I did say I really like the beat. Bars are okay. Hook's repetitive, but the song's fine. It's just fine for me.
Uh, I like the first two verses. I don't know if I like the third verse. I can't remember if I did or not. My biggest issue is the beat. I think it's just it. Sometimes the beat distracts from what's going on in the actual song, and the chopping just seemed crazy. And then you get to like the last bit of the song, and the chops where it's like chops, and it sounds like the song's like skipping, like an old CD player. For, again, showing our age. Um, but it was just like, bro, you're chopping a little bit too much here. I feel like we didn't need all that. A simpler chop, maybe a couple less chops. Let the beats doing its thing. Now just let the song and your verses and stuff kind of handle the rest. Let it grab the baton and finish the song. But I think it's okay. I don't think it's something I'm gonna play often. I might if it came on, I'd be like, I'll listen to this today. But nothing I'm gonna add to like a playlist, I think.
Yeah, just to remind y'all, like with Charles's current music, everything is alphabetical order. So if you're wondering about the track listing and all that, as long as it's in alphabetical order, that is correct. But at
Hmm.
the same time, Charles has also said sometimes, oh, well, you could put the songs on random and then play it that way too. And I'm like, sure, okay.
That's a playlist. That's not an album. But I feel you.
All right, so I'll start first. Junior wants to play. Question mark, because I'm not sure yet, but I said best instrumental on the tape, in my opinion, maybe. I don't know. Hook is but it's okay as well. Kind of iffy on the bars. Sound like Charles is getting involved with a woman who does explicit work. If you know, you know. The not safe for work type of work, you know.
Mhm.
Um, third verse is random. Charles just kind of talks about himself. And that's like once again you said about the third verses, that's just I don't get it. So on the first and second verse, Charles, it sounds like he's kind of explaining like, yeah, hey, I'm trying to see what's going on with this woman, see if I can make it work, because we got some differences, but I'm letting her know, like from jump, I know what you do for work, and I'm cool with that. I accept it. Junior wants to play. Junior. Hey, make sure, I think it's the second or third time I said that. Put the junior counter at 3. I'm kidding. There's no junior counter. Um, take a shot every time I say junior. Junior. No. It happens. No, what's wild? I forget who it was. There was someone. Oh, poor Jade. Poor Jade, because she recently got released.
Oh
She
yeah.
had an interview with I forget who it was. Ariel, whoever the guy's name is, that
Yeah.
he inter wrestlers. Someone said, take a shot every time she says like, and she says like after every other sentence. I'm like, that's not fair. Cause I know with me personally, I say a little bit too much. I've gotten better at it. But I'm like, listen, record yourself and you'll realize you say like and etc. a lot more than you think you do. Other people just don't know it. Anyway,
Yeah,
I,
everyone has a repeating word that they just don't. It's a connecting word. Similar to how you say about freestyling when you have a phrase that you go to. Everyone has that for talking too.
yeah, they just don't know it because they've never recorded themselves actually talking, especially for like even like 5 minutes. I promise you, you have a certain word that you're like, listen, we all do it. Anyway, like I said, first two verses, Charles, tell a homegirl, yeah, we got some differences, and I know what you do for work, and I'm still down. I'm still down. Then the third verse, he's like, yeah, well, I'm rapping and I'm doing this, and nobody can compare to me. And it's like, what happened to homegirl? Did she leave or
He kicked her out. It's over now.
I don't know. Or imagine that. Not imagine it actually, but Charles ends up getting with her, and after they get done, and then he just starts freestyling. He just starts freestyling, and then she's like, "All right, I'm gonna leave," and he's like, "All right, whatever." Back to this big. starts freestyling out of nowhere after they get done. I'm like, all right, so,
Oh
but
man.
yeah, so like part of me is just like, all right, what happened? You know?
Yeah. Um, I like this song though. I will say that despite the deviation from the third verse. Best instrumental on the tape. It's up there. I still have one that I love a lot, and it's just that the one that's coming up is just my style of beat of the one that I would love to like rap over. Shout out to White Broccoli. Um, but yeah, it's a good record for this tape or whatever. Yeah, I really like it. The hook isn't like the singing portion or the hook isn't so overbearing as some of the other ones that have been on this tape. Yeah, I think it's a solid entry on the tape.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Like I said, the instrumental is really nice and probably one of the songs I went back to the most
Hmm.
throughout these listens, where I'm like, okay, I could rock with this.
Yeah. Now we do Love Equals Battlefield.
Yeah, I'm gonna say right now, I don't think this is the opposite. I don't think I like this beat or the hook. And I know he says on there, "I love you too much to be playing around." I feel like the flow on the verses are good, but I don't think I like this song. And I think it's more primarily because of the beat. Like you said earlier with Airballs, like sometimes you get like a certain beat or maybe another song, you get a certain beat and it's just like, nah. Whether it could be too much shopping, too much this, too much that, too little of something. It's just like for me, I'm like, yeah, no, no.
Yeah, this is one of those ones where so like I said, I like to play the tape. Either listen to the tape once, just focus on listening to the tape, whether it be off the phone in the headphones, and then another time I'll just like to do things as I'm playing it. This one is the one where it played in the background and I just never thought about it. You know what I'm saying? It was like I heard it and I was like, I'm not interested in what this is. I'm not going back being like, let me hear this again. It wasn't one of those type of songs. So it's just kind of there for me. Not really feeling that one. We have next is let me make Pray to You Psychic Sob Mission.
Yeah, submission. So, we've heard of a submission,
Mhm.
well, there's different ones because you could submit to something where it's like, hey, I'm sending this in. You could submit to, tap out, whatever.
Yep.
But that wouldn't make sense for Charles because he's always going to never give up shit. But hey, sometimes tap or snap. Um, but this song, I said I might need more time with it. It might grow on me, but currently, because there's something there. I don't know what it is. There's something there where I'm like, I feel like I really want to connect with it, but I don't know if it's something that's blocking it or, the energy or the force isn't there. But for me, I'm just like, eh. But it's like I want to like it, but I'm like, I don't know what it is that's like stopping me, that's not letting me experience it, wholeheartedly. So I'm kind of just right now with it.
I was not a fan. I was not a fan. That second verse, there's something weird about it. Something about he said again, don't put no nobody jacket, but when you rap and you say something and you can't provide context, I have to just go off whatever. Children are my favorite. What is it? Children are my
Favorite
favorite.
dish.
Yeah,
I think
and
it's
I'm
the favorite
like,
dish, no homo. And they said no homo after, but it's like you just shouldn't have said it.
right. This isn't like oh my God. There's a song that he has on a tape where he's like the substitute teacher or something, and it's about what's called. You know the song I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, I know the song you're talking about. Yes.
That song is still creepy, but there's a context to the song where he's like, whatever, and it's a story into the song. So like that one's a little bit more palatable, and it's like, and I actually like that song. I'm not gonna hold you. This one, that came out of nowhere to me. I was like, I was listening to the verse. I really wasn't feeling it too much. That one line, I was like, I actually hit the rewind. I was like, what did he just say? I thought I was bugging, and I heard. I was like, nah, I can't do this. And then The hook, the beat's good. I like the sample that he used. Um, it's just yeah, it's not for me. I don't think.
With the other song you were mentioning, with him being a substitute teacher, it gave me vibes of, I don't know how many people heard the song before, but Eminem had a song on his second album, but it was on the censored version. Because I think I forget what song it covered over, but on the censored version, Eminem had a song where he's like a substitute teacher, and it's called Kids, and he was like teaching kids about like all the bad things, drugs and sex and all that, whatever. And I remember he kind of had the Mr. Mackey voice, like drugs are bad, okay? It was like that. That Eminem song, Charles's song reminded me of that Eminem song. So I'm like, okay, I feel like he's doing like a play on that. And then, I remember that beat was like it had like a fun vibe to it, and then the song just kept getting darker and darker. And
Yes.
then it's like, okay, so I feel like he was doing like an Eminem type thing with this. Like I said, it was random where he's just like, hey, kids are my favorite dish, no homo. And it's like, I mean, I
So
get it. It's like,
unnecessary, man.
yeah, yeah, it's I know it's the New York thing. You say something and then it's like, oh, you gotta, pause or no homo. But it's like, man, you are really, you really gotta stop saying stuff if that's not, if that's not what you get down with. Of course, and I'm not saying he gets down like that, whatever. But it's like, yo, like super pause, like, and also I think technically in that situation you should be saying no pedo because it's with children. But at the same time, I don't want to make that a thing. I don't want to be like, yo, that's a no, because
Right.
then that's going to be a whole different, Pandora's box. But either way, it's like, yo, you got to watch what you say. But that's the negative thing about doing the brain rentings or just doing the freestyling, because he mentions it a couple of times where he's like, oh, I'm a pass on the paper, or I'm freestyling what I write, something like that. He said that a couple of times throughout these songs, and it's like we can tell, we
No,
can tell.
we can tell. We also got to mind your business on this tape. I don't know if you noticed that as well.
We
Um,
got like three of them. It's like with the first three songs, he says it in the first three songs.
uh, yeah, you just wish, and like you said, when you do the brain written, that's one thing. And listen, that's fine. If you want to do that, that's cool. The real issue is playing it back, hearing that you said it and was like, nah, let's just keep that. Because you don't have to. You're the the God in this in your universe right now, bro. You could easily just go in there and be like, let me go ahead and cut that and redo it. Let me do a different verse. Let me do a different thing. You could do that and you choose not to. So you're going to lose a potential, hey, this was a good song, or a fan, or a potential fan, because you just won't go back and just change stuff.
Yeah, but we know he just does one takes. That's
Yeah.
it. So even if he flubs it or not, it doesn't matter. It's like, oh, it's just one take for this verse, one take for this verse. Like I do a third verse, and like you said, we'll get to that, at the end. But like I said, he gets to that third verse, and I feel like with him, I feel like Charles just kind of like loses interest maybe in songs,
Sure.
or just loses focus, and then he's like, well, I have to do a third verse, so, and then just says whatever comes to mind. And then that could be for the better, or a lot of the times ends up being for the worse. And it's just like, man,
That's all you get is up next.
I'm not going up there, it's my kind of show. I give creative direction, making a mistake, but I make it a blessed second. Whatever you say, whatever you get on that day, forever will mess up for him. And I'm not pissed, I know the offense. Magic is what stops my talking. Hard to say, but all you get.
very similar, because John Cena's been saying that recently. That's all you get, or you get nothing.
Yeah, no,
Uh,
nothing.
yeah, but that's all you get. The beat has this like old school vibe with the sample, pretty cool. Charles is singing on the hook. I don't know if that was the best approach for this song. There's been other songs that on this tape that he's been, doing some singing on, a lot of songs. And like some of them I'm like, this one hits a little bit better, this one maybe not as much, and then maybe one or two where I'm like, nah, he shouldn't have did it. Um, I feel like there is a good message on the song. Just overall, the verses and the flow was okay, but like just he just says kind of like in the hook, just hey, depending on how your life goes, sometimes that is all you get. Like I think a lot of us, we become entitled, or we feel like we are owed or deserve more, and it's like, nah, like that's all you're getting, and that's all you get. maybe in the future you will get more, but at the same time, you might get less. So it's kind of like you got to sit there and, be thankful for what you have because it could be taken away or even worse. So, hey, this is what you're getting. This is what you got. Deal with it.
Love this beat. I love the sample. I love the soul sample kind of situation that he does. He chops it up pretty well where it's not overly chopped. This is where I told you that when I first heard the hook, I was like, oh my God. But by the second time it came in, I was like, it's not that bad. And it kind of flows within the song. I said to you the first two verses, I'm like, oh, this is the one. And it's still my favorite song right now. You know what I'm saying, according to the rest of the tape. And this is where I came up with the curse of the third verse. Because why did he have to start the verse with using the F slur? He didn't have to do it. Again, you have the opportunity to go back and change things. Nothing about this song had to do with whatever. Why would you add that in there? There's no reason. You just wanted to say it. At some point, it's like, bro, you like saying the word. You want it to just be a regular part of your lexicon, your language lexicon, and that's cool. But just don't bullshit me with the excuses anymore. At this point, it's like because we said it before. It's like 2008, 2010, 2012. I get it. People were using it, and it wasn't as not overly, but rightfully said, hey, that's wild. We should just be calling people that because of their sexual preference. Whatever. We gotta assume this is made within the last year. So, like, you know what I'm saying? You don't care, bro. You just want to say it. You feel like, and you're too, again, I say it all the time. You're too, again, it's my word, by the way. You're too talented to have to use that word all the time. I can think of like 7 different ways to rhyme whatever the word you rhyme before that. And I'm not a rapper, bro. I'm not Charles Hampton. So like it's just it was so disappointing. If I can find a way to cut this to 2 verses, I will do it and just have my own personal version of the song.
Yeah. By the way, reminder, we're still in June, so happy Pride Month, But yeah, there's definitely I understand your pain and your plight because like I said, we've had this conversation multiple times and we're going to continue to have the conversation because that's not what we represent, that's not what we necessarily support. We love Charles, but at the same time it's like, man, like you sometimes may make it a little bit difficult to defend you, and at some point we can't. It's going to be like, hey, you just like to use the word. Yeah, you have your feelings towards certain people and certain things, but we we don't support that type of language, so I'll just leave it at that. So if that's what you want to use, fine. Just understand that while we feel this way, I don't know how other Star Chasers feel because we do know that we do have some Star Chasers in the LGBTQIA plus community. So it's like, hey man, even if we're not offended, by personal experience because we are straight men, other people, they have different, ideas, they have, different morals, and yeah, just yikes. Fucking yikes. That's all I can say.
Just don't do it, bro. It's not a necessary thing. You can't have this much angst about that shit where you just keep saying it. Wedding Day Jitters, it follows up. How'd you feel about that one? I'm on the fence.
So what it's crazy you said that because you're actually married. That's crazy you said that. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. That had nothing to do with your actual wedding day. I'm actually, awaiting mine whenever that happens in 40 years. No, but I think that the beat's dope. I love the sample on it. Freestyle flow, I think works. Maybe I'll say it works the best on here. I'm cool with the freestyle flow on this song, in my opinion. Hook's okay. I am wondering who Charles is getting married to, on this song because of course, when you talk about wedding day jitters, everyone gets them. It's like, hey, did I pick the right person? Do they really love me for me? All that type of stuff, ABC. Um, at the same time, like part of me is like, I'm assuming, he's talking about, I don't even want to say the love of his life because we all know Charles is married to music already. So unless he was like renewing his vows, so it's like he could be talking about the music. He would talk about, actual woman he might have considered that's the one for him. Or one of the things I think about, because sometimes with these third verses or just somewhere in the middle of the second verse, it's like, oh, is he talking about the fans? Because he's mentioned, wanting to, are you, because the hook, the samples is like, are you ready for me? And then he's talking about in the hook, are you going to take this ride with me? You know what I mean? And a lot of times that he says something similar to that effect, to the fans, like, hey, I appreciate y'all for taking this ride with me because I've been doing music for like 20 years and some of y'all have left, some came back, and it's like, so who is he actually getting married to? Or is it like all three, where it's like, hey, I'm talking about the music because I'm doing the music right now. I'm talking about this woman that could be, the one for me, but also I love the fans. Charles always says that. He loves the fans. So it's like, hey, is he getting married to all three of them in this interesting but workable four-way? Who knows? Fatal four match.
No disqualification. Um, uh, I the beat's fire. I think the beat is fire. I think that it does have this like real old schooly type of freestyle type of vibe or whatever. And just I think because the sample is like got that the sample old schoolness is deep rooted into the song, and so like the song feels like an old school song when it's really something that he just crafted recently. Um, I think it's a cool record in regards to this tape. I don't know if it's like a playlist worthy record, but I do think on the tape itself, it's cool. We will finish off with workshops.
I'm gonna easily say this. Now, I know earlier I said what Junior wants to play. I said that's the best instrumental on tape, in my opinion, but I feel like that's more like the best instrumental, like that I would feel like other people would say. Workshops is my favorite beat from the tape. It's my favorite. Pretty groovy vibe, show freestyle flow again, but I feel like it works on here as well. The hook's almost non-existent. It's basically almost like not a hook, but Charles makes it work. I'll say this is, I said on here might be my favorite song. I'll say this is my favorite song. So
Gotcha.
this ends well for me. I like how it ends. So favorite song, favorite beat, in my opinion. It's kind of like minimalist, but it works out, so I'm cool with it.
Yeah, I mean it's a cool song. It's a cool song to end. It's inoffensive to end the and then end the tape. I think it's I do like the beat. The beat is really cool. The beats are for the most part, if you're taking 11 songs, I would say over half are good to really good beats. I think there are just somewhere it's like somewhere like kind of and the over chopping of some other ones, but this one kind of ends it off on a nice little a smooth ending and a smooth landing as we used to say on here. So solid song overall.
I make it work. I make it work. I make it work. Fight in the cold, in the middle of the summertime. Wonder why, so cold, low gold.
It's one of those things where I realized throughout all these songs, I'm like, they are all different. And
Mhm.
the only negative thing I can say, about the song, I'm like, damn, it's last. So like in my situation, I'm like, this is my favorite. I gotta wait all the way, to the last part. Unless I like played the tape in reverse, but at the same time, I don't think it'd be the best listen for that. Sometimes you gotta say the best for last.
Because if you did it reverse, then you would have air balls at the end, and nothing's worse than ending the game on an air ball.
Man, imagine with the last like 5 seconds and then you airballed and then whole team hates you. You're getting sat out for like the next 5 games probably. I don't know. But yeah, yikes.
Yeah, shout out Carlton Banks. Uh, anything before we do this character review, man? What we got anything?
New. I'm ready to review.
Let's do it then, man. We just listened to Waft Dunk 2 weeks after it dropped. So let us know what you're gonna do as far as a review, any pros and cons, and the character rating you are gonna give it today, Mike.
So I can easily say, because we're going to keep going with the basketball references, not the Michael Beasley basketball references. I'm not going to do any of that.
No,
But
no, those. I mean, I got his point, but you know,
hey, Lance got his point too. Multiple points.
yeah, 31 of them jumps.
Um, so the tape's called Waft Dunk. So since we're doing the basketball thing, this definitely I'm gonna say it right now, this tape isn't a slam dunk, I would say more of a attempt at a alley-oop or a layup, you know what I mean? Um, I'll be honest, I don't know what happened for this tape. I don't know what the name means or anything like that. My favorite two songs from this are the last two songs, Wedding Day Jitters and Workshops.
Mhm.
So me going through this tape, I'm like, okay, this is okay, or I don't like this, or this is, and then you get to the last two, I'm like, oh, this is great. But then I'm like, what? So where was this at? You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like I literally at the end, um, just sound this tape just sounds like a bunch of random songs and sounds. I personally question if Charles understands what we mean when we explain what we like and don't like about his music, because although this tape is new, we know for like the last like several months, even like say a year, I'll say specifically several months, Charles has, seen these reviews and then he's like, okay, I'm understanding what you guys like and what you guys are saying that I should work with. And I'm working on continuing to improve my sound to make that supersonic classic, that supersonic music. And it's like, okay, Charles is saying he's taking notes. At the same time, when this is the brand new music we got, it's like, are you really taking notes or are you understanding like what are we saying? Because I do believe he is taking notes, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't think he's really understanding what we're saying. And I feel like it's not that difficult to understand like what we like. But at the same time, it's not just about us, it's about all Star Chasers. So we can't speak for everybody. Um, Now I will say this. I don't know when this was recorded because I'll just let y'all know. I know early in the year, when I would talk to Charles, he'd be like, I'd be like, hey, what's going on, man? He'd be like, man, I'm already done with 2025 music. I'm already moved on to like 2027 music. So I don't know if this project was recorded, like I said, like a couple weeks ago, or this was recorded back in January, because then that would make a little bit more sense for some of the stuff that's in here that's, hey, that's not really what I'm vibing with. You know what I mean? So it's recent music, but at the same time, it's like, man, like I feel like it's just like maybe Charles doesn't understand. So I will say this with fans in the comments for this tape on YouTube, a lot of fire emojis. People say, "Oh, this is great," or "Oh, I love this," or "I like this." There's a lot of fans that do like the stream of consciousness rap. I'm not one of them. I can easily say that I'm not one of them. It's a bunch of, once again, we keep saying it. It's a bunch of repeating. It's a bunch of like Charles saying the same thing over and over. Mind my business. My bottom line. In a couple of songs, I noticed Charles mentions his seat being taken in rap and music because he keeps worrying about someone replacing him. I've noticed that a lot. So those are like three things he mentions in Magic. So it's like a lot of repeating because you're freestyling. The third verses like usually go off a cliff because like you just start talking about something random. So you might want to shorten that to maybe two verses. I don't know. And maybe get a bridge or a hook or something like that. But it's just a bunch of randomness, man. And I can say this. You dropped 6 to 8 projects that are brand new. This is the first one I've heard. So now I'm kind of like, man, what am I going to encounter when I hear these other projects? It doesn't make me excited to hear the other projects. I will still listen to them, obviously, at some point, but it's not a good first impression. I'll say that. I think originally I was going to go with a Mecha Sonic 2 because there is better music out there, but no. For me, I'm giving this a Robotnik. This tape's not for me. With some of the sound quality, like I said, some of the beats being too loud, repeating, stream of consciousness rap where you're just talking about whatever.
Mhm.
It's this tape's not for me. It's not necessarily bad. I don't think it's bad. Like I said, for Star Chasers, the newer Star Chasers that like this type of music, it's definitely for you. But for me, being an older fan, and there's no cohesion. It's just Charles just rapping about anything under the sun. Not for me. That's it.
With very little expectations going into this tape, I think that's gonna do it some type of favor with me. Uh, with Charles's newer music, we had this conversation and behind the scenes again, more production stuff, and I said, well, we said mainly me that it's possible, and it happens more often than not. It's not an exclusive thing to Charles, but sometimes there comes a point where your favorite rapper or your favorite artist just doesn't make as much music that you vibe to anymore or that you connect to. My example was Snoop Dogg. I love Snoop Dogg. I think Snoop Dogg's one of my favorite rappers of all time. I know everybody says that he doesn't make great albums other than Doggy Style. I like the Blue Carpet Treatment. That was one of my favorite albums. I think, what was it? What was the other one? Rhythm and Gangster. That was the other one.
Yeah, that came out in 2004. With
Yeah,
Drop It Like It's Hot. Yeah.
that's another good one that I think I like too as well. But as time is going on, it's like he puts out music, and I check it. Do I playlist a lot of it? Not really, but it's still, he still makes music, and it's like what I say about Charles stuff. It's okay, it's cool, it's there. I just, what I'm saying, he's still creating art. He likes making music. I get it, whatever. So with Charles, it's just like I don't anticipate coming away with like a whole tape of like I'm listening to this tape. This is good. This is what's called. I can't do that anymore because I feel like that sets too high of an expectation of what he's doing at currently. This tape is marred by something that I've been saying for a while now. The hooks just aren't that good anymore. They rely too much on singing and not even like it's like over dramatic singing that's just it doesn't do anything for the song itself. It's cursed by the third verse. I don't know if it's time to just do two verses again like you do on some other tapes because when that third verse is a dangerous thing. It's like a danger zone. It's like the first verse is easy mode, the second verse is normal mode, and that third verse just becomes a Dark Souls game essentially. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like it's tough to get through. It's like you think you love a song and then it's just marred by that last verse when it could have just been a top-notch song with two verses. Most of the beats are okay. I liked a lot of the beats. I think some of them are overproduced. Um, Out of 11, I could see myself playlisting maybe 2 to 3. And that's like I said, because of that, I think that lends itself to being like it exceeded my expectations. But is this a tape that I'm going to listen to over again? I don't know. And that's why I'm kind of stuck between the Robotnik and Mecha Sonic 2. I'm going to go Mecha Sonic 2, very low end Mecha Sonic 2. And I'm every day I am regretting the decision to put Hypergoth in Robotnik because I feel like it's at least a Mecha Sonic 2 the more tapes that we do. But we're not talking about that right now. I think this tape could have been better if he cut it in half because some of the tapes that he did put out have less songs. I think if he cut some verses off, this tape could have been higher. It could have been at least a Tails. I would suggest it to somebody, but it's just it's there's too much going on that doesn't need to be here.
I get it. I understand it. To your point with, the Snoop Dogg thing, right? Where it's like, hey, there's a certain music that, certain artists make and it just sounds I'll give you an even better example because it just happened recently. Lil Wayne.
Yep.
Lil Wayne just came out with that album. I want to read this real quick. Someone said Wayne can rap, but he just raps. No substance, no stories. It's nothing to gain from his raps, just bars. The bars don't hit like they used to. You can tell Wayne just raps and nothing else. And then one of the examples he gives is basically what Wayne does in his bars. I'm the greatest, purple drink, keep a strap, Sue Woo, I'm balling, I got bitches, they do blah, 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 you know. And I feel that that's basically the issue that Charles deals with. You could put the beat in front of him or he creates the beat. And, a lot of times the beats are really nice. but then it's just Charles just rapping. He's doing the stream of consciousness, where he names a song, something completely random, and then it's just Charles rapping about maybe there might be a concept right in the beginning, but then he just slowly but surely drifts away from it and then just starts talking about anything. And it's just like for songs that I want to remember, I'm not. It ends up just being forgettable music, you know?
Mhm.
So it's just one of those things where, like I said, there's there's like 6 to 8 other projects that he dropped along with this, and it's like, man, if you're just like recording just like any like stuff like this, if this is what the other projects sound like, and you're just shelving it away just to drop it later, I'm not going to be excited.
Mhm.
6 to 8 projects. Oh, snap. We remember in 2010, July 3rd, whatever, when that came out.
Yep.
Everyone still talks about that. They're still excited about that. This happened, and it's like it doesn't hit the same. And for me, I'm like, man, that's how it starts. Like it gets me a little worried because I'm like, man, like I don't want to just be getting new music and then I'm just skipping through it. You know what I mean? So that's my 2 cents. I'm good.
Yeah, but those are the words of two OGs, man. We want to hear from the newer fans. This is your time to shine. This is your time to shine. I know we talked about how the comments were like fire emoji. This is fire, fire as usual. Tell us why. That is Charles benefits from that, yes. But I think Charles would benefit more if you were to explain exactly what you like about the song. Just don't say it to get on a comment and hope that he likes it or he just responds to you, whatever. Give actual meaningful feedback to it. So let us know how you feel about Waft Dunk. Let us know what your favorite songs were. What would you have done? What would you like to see differently maybe on the tape? And what do you think that he can improve on? Let us know over on StarCHaser Central on YouTube. You can also check us out on Twitter, StarCH Central. You can also follow us on our individual pages. I'm a Stick Around 54, STIK Around 54 on Twitter and Instagram. Mike, where can they find you, buddy?
On Instagram, the Mike Jackson, Mike Jackson. On Twitter, Mike D Jackson. That's Mike DEE Jackson, 1D, 2 E's. I'll have me. Make sure you guys are following Charles on Twitter at Charles Hamilton. Like I said, this project and the other projects are on his SoundCloud. Junior Varsity 1. That's JR Varsity number 1. Um, I had to do this out of order. Make sure you guys are subscribed to Charles on YouTube at the Talented Mr. Hamilton. These projects are not on YouTube so far. I think this is currently, as far as I know, the only one that's on YouTube, but it's not on Charles's page. So if you really want to like hear these all in succession, please go to SoundCloud that I just named before. But Charles is still going to be dropping music, eventually at some point. And also, he just went live recently. For a while, he wasn't going live, and he just went live. So make sure you are subscribed so you check out the lives. Last but not least, to make sure you stay in tune because I think Charles just got his Wi-Fi cut back on. So, he's going to be blogging more, doing a lot more lives. Check out the blog, enterthehamilton.blogspot.com. There it is.
Be sure to let us know what you want us to review next. If you have listened to any of these SoundCloud tapes and you think that you found the one that me and Mike will like, please shoot that over to us. Let us know which one it is so we can go back and check it out and maybe review it at another date. Um, in addition, I know that we are closing in on episode 100, and I saw someone made a suggestion about what we should do for episode 100. Mike, what was that suggestion again?
So someone said, hey, for the 100th episode, are you guys going to actually cover Catholic Illuminati Infinite Psalms, which is, that really big tape that we said, we don't know exactly how that would come off. And I'm like, that's an interesting idea at the same time. We've talked about that before. I'm like, man, how will we do that for an episode? But I want to say it was Dalvin who also was like, yeah, that'd be a good idea. So there's been like it's not like you guys haven't said it before, but it's seeming like it's becoming more and more and more of a reasonable, I guess you could say, quote unquote, reasonable request because it sounding like more people really want that. But at the same time, so far recently, that's been 2 people that have said it. There's a lot more of y'all. So definitely for us to even like really consider it, like we definitely need a lot more of you to actually say you want that. Um, we can't just do a fucking 500 song tape just because one person said it. That's a little bit of overkill. But
Yeah.
if there are more people, like we'll do what WWE did. You know, if y'all want infinite Psalms, you know what I mean, then need some more noise, need some more. You gotta raise the fucking roof, man.
Yeah. I don't know about doing it for the episode 100, but I do think that if we get enough hype around it, we can kind of think of a way to do a Catholic Illuminati part one, part two, and then however many we have to get through to make it feasible and work for us. We'd figure that out. But yeah, I mean, I know people really love that tape and a lot of songs in there, so I do want to kind of get to that. But yeah, let us know what you want us to listen to, man. And if there's any topics you want us to talk about, any playlists you want us to make, anything, man, just let us know over on StarCHaser Central. Mike, do you have anything for the people before we head up?
Just the usual. Thank you guys for checking out another episode. Can't wait for the next one. And like Stick said, if there's anything else from the most recent drops that you guys are really feeling, because I've heard some people talk about, you know, the tapes or whatever. I haven't heard enough. So I definitely want to hear what everyone else thinks about this tape and the other ones. Like, so if there's some other ones you want us to do, especially something more recent, even if it's not like this year recent, like say within 2024, 2023, you know, let us know. Hit us up.
Yeah. Oh, and of course, if you haven't found out or you were living under a rock, July 4th, it is supposed to be a lot of tapes dropping. I think a lot of pre-saves were put on to streaming for a lot of the. It says a Amazonization process, but there are other tapes as well included in that group. But there's a lot of old tapes going on streaming on July 4th allegedly. And as long as things go how they're supposed to go, it'll be there. But we'll keep you updated in case that changes. Or Charles will keep you updated in case that changes. Check the blog, check all that stuff. But yeah, I'm ready to head out, man. We are logging out of the Star Trek Central podcast, man, but we always encourage you to follow your dreams.
And reach for the stars.
Sunshine